Hi, good evening, folks. In this video, what would be the 5 Stanley Cups won by franchises that have never won a Stanley Cup that would be the sweetest? Coming up. All right, just a little fun video I'm going to slap together. I got a request from Brando Critic to do this a few days back, and it should be just a bit of a fun one. I'm going to give you 5 teams that if they've won their first, these are teams that have never won the Stanley Cup. And if they, and yes, we're on the list, of course we're on the list. God, I mean, any fan with half a brain that's not a Sabres fan would have us on their list, no kidding. But what would be the 5 sweetest, and in what order? I just came up with a list that I think is realistic. And it's because I've watched basically all the inception of all these teams come in, you know? So teams that have not won a Stanley Cup, which would be the sweetest and in what order? 5 teams, all right? Coming in at number 5. I got Arizona. And for you fans that don't have Arizona on your list, you don't have a heart, okay? Because I'm telling you, this team, let me get on this side. Arizona, if there's anybody that we can relate to, even though they didn't start in Arizona, of course they were Winnipeg, right? But if we can relate to anybody suffering over a long period of time, these guys we got to relate with. And Arizona, I would love in my lifetime to see Arizona win a Stanley Cup. I would. I just think it would be a nice story. They came back with those awful jerseys, guys. The coyote and that. I still don't even know what that thing is with the squares and the mask half on one side. God, it's such a horrible jersey. They got rid of the coyote head. I'm like, oh my God, they went back to that awful look. Poor Arizona. Even when they go retro, it's a mistake. You know, like. All right, so moving up to number 4. Very simple video. I'm going to make a few tonight. Well, I got some time right now. Number 4, I got Florida coming in. Again, I would love to see disconnect the fact there's an ex-Sabre there, and I would love to see the Florida Panthers win a Stanley Cup because, guys, you've seen they've been the brunt end of jokes, and we know it. They've been the brunt end of jokes for a long time. A long time. They didn't have much fan support either. Let's be honest here. I mean, it's not just the pandemic. Their fan support has been awful for a long time. And, maybe that's what the doctor ordered out there. I don't know. I still don't even know if they're secure and going to stay out there long term. I just don't know, really. I know Bettman hates to uproot teams and move them, but my God, these are 2 situations where, you gotta just hope they somehow find their way to stay and keep the teams there. I mean, Florida at least now is a powerhouse the last few years, which is nice to see, and it's good for hockey. It's good for hockey, guys, to see a changing of the guard. Really. I mean, I got so sick and tired back in the day of Colorado, Detroit. Who didn't get bored of that? We can look back at these teams and say, oh my God, enough is enough. So I got Florida coming in at number 4. Number 3. Might be a forgotten team that you don't expect. San Jose. And no, not because of Joe Thornton. Sorry, I've always thought Thornton's a choker my whole life, his whole career. I just think that's Joe Thornton. Sorry. Just not a Thornton fan. I've never believed in him. And I think come playoff time, he's not the guy you want on the ice. He just isn't. And not until, he did the novelty with the beard. And the beard thing's annoying. It's annoying as hell. It's silly. He's got the giant, Santa Claus thing happening. It's like, come on. Anyway, San Jose, because they were so damn good for so long, I always said, this was like the 70s Sabres back in the 2000s and 1990s. They were good for a stretch and never a champion. And You know, I would have liked to seen them win a cup with those guys, including Thornton. I would have liked to seen them get one, but they choked so many times. This team is I would see them start the season 30-3 at home, and I just know they're not going to win the cup. No matter what they do, they're not going to win the cup. And that's just how it felt with San Jose. They just reminded me of a team that you know, no matter what they did, they were not going to do it come playoff time. And when they got to the finals that year, I was kind of pulling for them. You know, I wanted them to get it, but nah, they couldn't get it done. I mean, it's just, they got to get rid of everything that was attached to that team the last 15 years and get back on track again. Hopefully one day we'll see them win a Stanley Cup. Would be nice. But when you're signing dumb boneheaded things like Carlson to a contract like that, my God, like, you know, you're killing yourself. All right, number 2. Yeah, let me fix that. First letter, and the Vancouver Canucks come in number 2. And yes, Brando critic, Vancouver, of course, makes a list, without a doubt. I mean, Vancouver are the only team that on here so far that have played in 3 games and had a chance to win the Stanley Cup that game. And they're 0-3, you know. And where they really blew it, I found against Boston, was after they came back home and they won 1-0. Luongo should have kept his trap shut, okay? He should have said nothing. He should have said nothing. The goal they got against Boston in Game 5, you might recall, to win that, Luongo, you know, they started the mental warfare thing with the Bruins, and that was the dumbest thing to do because you had them on the ropes. And to go and say, oh, I would have made that save about Tim Thomas, the rest of the way Tim Thomas was going to close the door. You don't wake up the enemy. You never wake up the enemy. I've seen Barnaby do that in 1998 in Washington in Game 2. We had them on the ropes, and Barnaby went and mimicked the fans, making fun of them, and that woke up the Capitals, and we never got back in that series from that point on. Vancouver Canucks had 3 chances to win the Stanley Cup. We know, of course, in 1994, they got to Game 7 on an amazing run that year. 1994, they went to Game 7. They lost to the Rangers, and they were up 3-2 against the Bruins and couldn't close it out. So they're 0-3 in games they could have won the Cup. So they got to be here, without a doubt. And number 1, and I'm not just saying it, guys, because it's the obvious answer. Without a doubt, the Sabres get number 1. It's a runaway for number 1, if you want the truth. It's a runaway. It would be the sweetest Stanley Cup in NHL history because not only were we more due than all these franchises, okay, and the reason I'll throw Vancouver in there is because Vancouver historically have not been a winning franchise like we were, right? And Vancouver had their chance. We've never had one. We've never played in a game where we can win the Stanley Cup in our history. And if you look at all the teams here, I can honestly tell you guys, before the tank era, they would still be number 1. They would still be number 1, guys, without a doubt. The Sabres were long overdue before the tank. Before. I mean, that's hard to imagine, but it's the truth. But I think now, if the Sabres won a Stanley Cup in the next 4 or 5 years, I think we'd have 90% of the fans on our side, no matter who we're playing in the finals, except the opposing fans of that franchise, right? I mean, if the Sabres ever got to the Stanley Cup finals again, and they're going to, I believe, and have a chance to win the Stanley Cup, I believe they will close the deal out. There will not be another, even if we're up 3-0, it'll close in 4. The Sabres will close the door. Like, I'm positive of that. So the Sabres got to go there. Because we had 4, we were a winning franchise in the 70s, a winning franchise in the 80s, a winning franchise in the 90s, and a winning franchise in the 2000s. And in the 2010s was the tank era. So that's that. All right, I think that's about it, guys. If there's anybody there I missed, it's not on purpose. I really do believe that these are the franchises, and in the order I got them. And again, I got to put poor Arizona on there. Florida has got to make that list. San Jose with all their playoff failures. Oh my God. Brutal what they've been through in the playoffs. Then they finally get to the finals and they were up against Crosby. So, and then Vancouver have had 3 chances in their history to win the Stanley Cup and fell short. So I'm going to leave it there. I've got other videos. There's my list. I got to get on it, guys. I got more videos to make. See you in those.